Hi guys, welcome on in to the Redirect Podcast Episode 2. I am Marockside, your host, and I am joined by Streamer Elite and the one and only Malamphy.
How did I get here?
Today we're going to be talking about all things gaming as usual, and we're also going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII in particular. We're also going to be giving away some tickets to Gamerfest and some copies of Final Fantasy VII and 8 on Steam. So stick around guys, we've got a lot to do. So we have myself, Malamphy, and Streamer Elite today. No Keo or the Weirdo like last time, but we have to talk all things gaming, guys. So what have you been up to this week? I'll start with Malamphy.
Yes. So I'm not gonna lie, I did something this week that I thought I'd never do in the past, which is let me sorry, no, blah. So I ended up starting to play Fortnite. It was one thing I said that I'd never do, but I started getting back into the Save the World, and it was the challenges that pulled me into it. But I've been having fun with it. I have to admit. Yes. With the help of Evil Fairy, ended up getting everything done and got that skin that you get for collecting all the letters. So, yeah. Sorry, that's my bad. Sorry. There we go. Start again there, Alan. I apologize.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Team Redirect Podcast. Today we've got...
that part happened.
So what have I been doing this week in gaming? Malamphy just wanted to mute me for so long, you just have the opportunity to do it now. So basically what I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of Fortnite with the new Season 2, Chapter 2, and exploring new regions, new areas, and whatever else. Done a lot of that, but I've also delved into Medieval from the very beginning, the remake of the original. And I don't think I've ever met a game that has made me want to hurt technology as much as this. I honestly and truly really don't.
Those guys really got the best of you.
On more than one occasion, but when they've got 2,000 hit points and you've reduced them down to 4 hit points and they kill you, oh god, I nearly broke technology.
Well, technology broke you, technically.
He's not wrong, you know.
So what have I been up to? Well, I have been very, very pleased with getting my hands on the game Dreams this week. It is a game where all the community make their own games and share them with you, and I've had an absolute blast playing them. I got to play some really in-depth story games, like someone is currently making up a Stranger Things game, and it's from the start of the series, and you do it as the story goes on. I've never watched the series, but playing this game makes me want to watch it. Also things like people making Spyro clones or their own interpretations on platformers and stuff like that. They really have taken a lot of time out of their day to make these games, and I really like it. It's just completely, something I never thought I would get into, because I'm not mad on Little Big Planet or anything like that, but this is another level. And it was really what drew me in, actually, was the fact that they had remade parts of PT in it. So I had to see like to what level was that made. And I love horror games and stuff like that, so I did that. It was terrifying. It has that real suspense factor that the PT has, but then I broke it.
How did you break a game?
I don't know. I broke the PT demo in it, and Yeah, but as I said, like every day you're learning new games and people are making new things, so it's constantly upgraded. And there's like I've seen even reports online and stuff, but I've already got to play them. Thank God. There's a Crash Bandicoot game with 7 levels in it that's on it, and that's fantastic too. But people are so creative. It's a joy to play these things, and I've had a lot of creators come in and interact with me and ask me to play their games. On top of that, I did one night of Fortnite during the week. I think we're all on this whole weird Fortnite bug. That was just a bit of.
You played Fortnite? What?
Yeah, I know, it was weird. And that and FIFA. That's been my week really. But that's really it for catching up on us. Now it's on to talking about a bit of news, the boring bits. There he is. So, guys, Sony and Square Enix have pulled out of PAX East.
It's very it's definitely for a good reason though.
Yeah, they are doing it out of fear of spreading the coronavirus, which is actually something that's taking. Obviously, it's some sort of it's a worldwide epidemic at the minute until they kind of sort it out. But it's nice to see that companies are they're taking other people's health and stuff into consideration before
they're putting the consumer ahead of themselves, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But not only that, the health and safety of people attending the events and stuff like that. But it also means we're not going to see anything from Sony or Square Enix at PAX East. And
it's not just PAX East, though, is it?
But you never know, though. They might do something along the lines of what Nintendo started doing at E3. Now they've pulled out of it in the sense that they're not going to have a live stage. They're not going to have a press conference live at the event. But they might do something like a digital event, like Nintendo have been doing with the Treehouse at E3 lately, where they do it remotely.
Yeah, I can see that working. Like they'd run their own kind of like Nintendo Direct kind of thing at it.
Yeah.
Or some sort of presentation. Yeah, that would work, but I think the whole thing about the live stage for PAX and stuff like that is the crowd. You get behind the crowd that are there and their reactions too. So it does dampen it down a bit at the same time. Obviously, Sony and Square Enix are going to have representatives in the States, and maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll pull it off in some way, shape, or form. But I don't think we're going to see exactly what we want to see at PAX East.
It'll be a far more diluted lineup than it was intended to be because of the fact that Sony are pulling out. But it's not only PAX East they're pulling out of either; they're also pulling out of the GDC as well. So it's a double whammy for Sony withdrawing as well.
But I wonder, is this a part of their obviously since it's to do with the virus spread? But at the same time, are they looking at this as a golden opportunity in one sense, because Sony have already turned around and said that they are not going to release price points for the new console until Microsoft does.
But that's it's not a kind of childish thing. Like, I'm not going to do it until you do it. Like people have an expectation of what these things are going to be priced at. I'm assuming they're going to be €500. And then there'll be a pro version that'll be more.
But that's not to say that they won't have they'll have a tiered model system where you could have one that has 500 gigs, and then one that has 1 terabyte, then another one that has 5 terabytes.
Not at release stuff.
Has to be 1 terabyte. Games are too big.
Yeah. No, it's just like
not,
that for
not
example.
To give us at least a terabyte.
Because essentially, if they were to do that, the only thing that the units would be identical. The only thing you'd be paying for is the extra storage. That's the only thing you'd be paying for, like previous generations. That's it.
But yeah, I don't know. I think obviously they're like, oh, you name your price and we'll match it or we'll do whatever. But at the same time, I think Sony have proven in the past they're not afraid to take a loss to make more money. They did it with the PS3. That cost them a fortune to make. And they brought down the price to be more competitive
because of the Blu-ray as well. Because of the Blu-ray player, yeah.
And people were only buying PlayStation 2s at the time because they were the most inexpensive way to play DVDs. Because DVD players standalone were nearly an extra.
They were ridiculous,
ridiculous prices for when they were released. You went ahead and bought a PlayStation. PlayStation still currently holds the record for the most sales of a console unit in history at over 120 million units sold.
Yeah,
the PlayStation 4
I was actually reading into this last night, and they expect the PS5 to have over 6 million units sold by next March.
By March, Yeah.
See, if they come through with the whole being backwards compatible with every generation,
Hmm.
I
Oh,
would easily,
it'll destroy the
yeah.
market.
Mm.
I'm just wondering. I'm just waiting to see what type of knock-on effect it'll have for the PC community as well. Because if they're going
But
to get hardware and stuff like that at the prices that they're going to put out, how is that going to affect the market for custom parts for PC builders as well? If you're going to get like a Ryzen 7 processor
Mm-hmm.
for a ridiculously low price inside your PlayStation 5, how are standalone processors going to actually be priced when that console is released? Are they going to go down dramatically in
well,
price to make it more competitive?
I think
Or
there'll be these are like one of a kind processors. So I think there'll actually be a new generation of processors that come out,
Mm,
and they'll hold more kind of power and stuff like that,
mm,
but they'll be at the same price point as processors now. I think that's how
mm,
they'll balance this out, because they have to give the PC people a reason to stay there as well.
mhm,
Because the PlayStation's going to have you're getting to a stage where it's going to be like a mini computer. It's going to have a PC and mouse option. It's going to have everything that your PC would have. It's still going to have disk drive. It's going to be backwards compatible with everything. But with this also, I think, is there going to be different versions to the PlayStation 5? Because if they're going to have this backwards compatibility, same as they did with the PS3,
mhm.
is there going to be is it either going to be the launch ones that are going to be able to do this the same as the PS3, or is there going to be another alternative where you'd pay an extra €100 or whatever to get the model that is completely backwards compatible?
Hmm. So you're saying that they're going to leave that functionality for the higher price tiers?
I don't know. I'm curious to see how they go about it. They're
Well,
going to
they
take
did
a loss initially, one way or the other.
one
I think
thing
both
though.
companies are risking that.
One thing though is the fact that with the backwards compatibility, from the patents that came out months ago, like the middle of last year, it was something that was dependent on the processor, was it not?
Say that again.
It was dependent on the processor
As to
as to being able to do the full backwards compatibility from a digital standpoint.
Well, I'm assuming that everything will be done through emulation. Like the processors, the compatibility with the processors now, as far as like between the PS4, PS5, and the PS3, they'd all be on the same kind of AMD scale. Like
Mhm.
they'd still, the code and stuff like that wouldn't be it would be the PS2 and the PS1 that have the problems with. But I think that literally would be done under some sort of RIP to RAM emulation.
Yeah, they are. They're looking at emulation houses at, when those patents were released to add specific coding to the existing program so they can actually have backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 3, 4, and 5, but then two separate standalone programs that can emulate the PlayStation 1 and 2 sequences.
Yeah.
So it'll recognize, like, if you were to insert your disc into the PlayStation 5, it would immediately recognize the format of that disc, because everybody remembers the lovely old black discs you used to get from
And
PlayStation
also
5.
the PSP and the Vita.
I'm not sure about the PSP and the Vita, but I have heard that they are trying to incorporate that in some way, shape, or form
Mhm.
as well. I've read that on a couple of forums.
I'd
But
love to see that in the store, because there's some great titles for the Vita and the PSP that aren't around.
Like
hmm,
Metal Gear Acid and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
fantastic title. Yeah,
Peace
that's
Walker
very
and
good.
stuff like that. There's very, very good games there.
Like
Peace
it,
Walker was remade, but like still,
like the knock on effect of this, of the release, if backwards compatibility becomes whole for the PlayStation as such, for the streaming community, is going to be enormous. Like, this is going to open up so many new doors for people that love retro gaming, a couple of team members and myself included, that they now have access to stream without the use of third-party emulation and ROMs as well. They literally just take their old disc, breathe new life back into it again, pop it in, click go on their OBS or XSplit, and away they go. They're streaming using the original disc, the original content as it was intended to be played.
And of
The knock-on
course,
effect,
one
so every now
thing,
and again with the loading screen, you're going to hear.
and of
or
course, the
just like my
best
host
thing,
notification.
and of course, the best thing with that then as well, though, is the fact that it will take some of the edge off of the hardware that is dependent to be able to stream these games, because already with the PS4 and the Xbox One at the moment,
Mhm.
with the Xbox One is true, the game bar, it's native to Windows, but with the PlayStation, there's the remind me the name of the software again. Um,
Emulation
Oh,
software.
No, to be able to play the
PlayStation
PS4.
Play, PlayStation Now,
No, not PS Now.
PlayStation, PS
Share
Live.
Play.
Share it. Yeah. Well, no, but
Something
you know
like
what I
that,
mean.
yeah.
It's the program that allows you to stream PS4 Remote Play. That's the one.
That's it.
Remote play, yeah.
So you don't need a capture card. You don't need extra cables. You don't need all this extra hardware. Like, as long as you have a dependable internet connection, you know, you're able to stream directly from that device on the PS4 already. So the fact that, like, more than likely, if that's not natively put into the PS5, they'll lose a little bit on the market with that, I'd say.
See, I wonder if they're going to step it up completely and have it so that some kind of, you know, like an OBS or something like that will actually be able to be installed on the likes of a PlayStation.
As in, give them the functionality to be able to use their own custom overlays on the console instead of using them on PC, where you're using a graphics card or a link.
Yeah, but I do think with something like that, there'd have to be some sort of subscription base. Like if Sony made one individually, or if Microsoft made one individually, there'd have to be some sort of to use this kind of
Well, they're
software.
anticipating that the CPU that they're going to be using in the PlayStation 5 is going to be an absolute beast. It's going to be up there with the Intel Core i9 9900K.
Anyway, this is supposed to be our quick news section.
Yeah. I know. And look what's happened.
Let's come back to it. We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it. Yeah, we'll come back to it.
PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, whatever it's called, that's a podcast in its own.
The Xbox Fridge.
So, guys, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is free on the Epic Game Store right now.
That surprised me.
Yeah,
that surprised me.
Well, it's technically a AAA title. Like,
I think they're trying to come back from the havoc that happened when it first came out, where the co-op aspects of it broke the game, and just everyone lost interest so quickly.
I think it could be like it could be something fun to jump into with your mates, but like it's a free game. Like we're going to tell you because we know, and we're going to put it on our download list. You might as well get it for free. Yeah, so on the Epic Game Store, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is free.
There you go. There's a redirect top tip right there. If you're looking for something to play, there's something you can hit.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I stumbled across this by accident because I heard ages ago they were trying to do this, but it had been cancelled. But apparently, we're getting a Borderlands movie directed by Eli Roth.
Yeah.
So they've decided to go with the movie. It's been rumors for a while that they're definitely doing something, but they weren't sure whether it was going to be a movie or a TV
show. And the development house.
I would prefer a TV show with that because it is like zany and wacky. Like it would be better to have like the full-on comedy aspects in shorter intervals than like a big long movie where you have to have suspense and an up and down and everything intertwined. I think.
But look at the production house. Look at the production house who's apparently associated with the project. It's Lionsgate.
It's Lionsgate. Yeah, no, it's going to be.
There's one thing that I want for that movie, right? As long as this one thing is in that movie, I'll be happy. Tiny Tina. As long as Tiny Tina is in that, I am happy.
Okay.
Give the people what they want. All right, give the people.
Yeah, I'd like to see what people would expect from a movie like that. You'd have to watch it. Like, it's going to have a great soundtrack. You can't have anything Borderlands and not have a great soundtrack. Like,
yeah. I'd love to see who do the production score for that, whether it be a TV series or a film, because there's some really, really, really good songs in some of the games that everybody's been looking back on now. So if there's some way they can emulate or copy or modify those original scores slightly to actually appeal to the fans of the games to come back to this TV or film series or whatever it is they're going to be making, that'll be huge.
Yeah, I think it would be quite cool. The next piece of news is actually Alan's favorite piece of news today, so I'll let you talk about this.
That's right, yeah, my favorite piece of news. So me being a gamer all the way back from my PC days, where it all started for me, even though I own consoles. Microsoft have announced that Flight Simulator X's next incarnation, Flight Simulator, will have all real-life location airports, every single one of them, in full detail and quality.
That'll be awesome.
Huge. That is huge. That's 27,000 airports in proper detail. every terminal, every runway, every blade of grass. And don't forget, you add ray tracing to that, it is going to be one of the most immersive and most enjoyable experiences.
And remember that game series already has compatibility with this.
With the Oculus or with the VR headset.
That's nuts. Like, you know, I mean, you're bringing full on integration into it, you know. The thing about it that gets me, like, the one question I really have about this is, how big is the game going to be? Like, do you need a separate PC for it?
That's the way they're looking at it.
It's like, this is my gaming PC. This is my flight sim PC.
Okay, let me put this into
context. In my gaming PC, I just hit my mic.
Let me put this into context for you, right? Red Dead Redemption was 110 gigs as maximum download when it was released, right? Flight Simulator, apparently, this is according to the forums and according to a couple of releases, it's still in alpha, hasn't hit beta yet. 394 gigs is what the actual download capacity for this is supposed
to be. Could you
imagine
the rendering?
It would take me a year to download.
Could you imagine the what would the rendering distance options be?
How much RAM do you need? Like, there's so many
You'd need at least 64 gigs to 128 for the damn thing to be able to run smoothly.
Nuts.
Graphically, if you have an RTX with ray tracing, you are at the top of the tier, unless you have a Titan. But like that is just absolutely insane. Now, the official numbers from Microsoft haven't been released yet because it's still in the alpha phase of getting everything done. But these are just projections for the current content that has been put into the game as it stands right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with the integration of all these airports, forget the planes, right? Forget the planes. There's supposed to be custom interactions with actual physical people that you can see on the camera as well as you're going about your business as a pilot. So there's going to be more. There's going to be more.
So every now and again, you're going to hear, "Sir, somebody's ruined the toilet."
You're gonna have your own in-plane tannoy system. We're going down. No, we're going up. So that's going to be
that'll be a good one.
Now.
This is one I'm looking forward to, and I cannot wait. February 27th, guys. Mark it on your calendar. Baldur's Gate. Streaming an official gameplay reveal for Baldur's Gate 3 on February 27th.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been so long.
Mm-hmm. Like how long has this been in production?
I don't even know. I think it was announced at E3 2017. I can't remember.
I think it was 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
But at the same time, take all that out of consideration. I just want to know, what way are they running this game? Is it going to be like the old Baldur's Gates, or is it going to feel more like a Diablo, or like, where are they going with this? Because they've obviously re-released all the Baldur's Gate games and they've done really well. But my favorite one is actually Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the PlayStation 2.
What a game! And
I would like that iteration to be brought into Baldur's Gate 3 instead of a point and click. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll play it one way or the other, but I feel like that kind of control, especially because you can bring it to a multiplayer level, is more like a Gauntlet game or obviously Diablo or whatever. I think that suits gamers going forward more than to have another point and click. I think point and clicks at this stage are specifically more aimed towards the likes of, Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, those kind of things. I think for dungeon crawlers, you have to have that kind of Path of Exile, Diablo interactivity where you control the character instead of point and clicking anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested. February 27th, guys. It's 5 days away.
Yeah, it's like you look at the lineup of what's coming out. Oh my God.
Anyway, there's a sad piece of news now.
Yeah.
Good friend of ours. We've met him a few times. Paradox and Romero Games title Empire of Sin has been pushed back to fall of 2020 after initially being quoted to be released in the second quarter. So obviously we've all met John Romero at conventions in the last year or so. He's a lovely guy. They're obviously very busy, and it's another game that's going to miss its deadline. It's another game pushed back. Like, obviously it means they're trying to get it right, but at the same time, I'm disappointed at how many titles have been pushed back this year.
I'll always say the same. I'll always say.
Go on.
Right, Melanphy, go.
No, but I'll say the same thing that I always say. I prefer games getting pushed back. Like I prefer when a developer is able to say, right, look, lads, I'm sorry, we know you're looking forward to the product, but it's not ready. I prefer when developers actually do that rather than rush something out, bring out day one patches, have loads of people complain, have massive patches a week in. You know, I'll always prefer
Yeah.
that.
Okay, Alan.
It's just becoming a trend now over the last since the announcement that Final Fantasy was going to be stalled for a couple of months, which got everybody upset. Let's be fair, it
Well,
did.
the first one that happened to was Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, yeah, but I suppose if you're going to use in that context, Doom Eternal essentially and Final Fantasy, to kind of started this kind of knock-on effect inadvertently, where if somebody big does it, everyone else kind of follows suit. So somebody turns around and says, yes, we want this game to be perfect and polished, and we haven't been able to guarantee it's going to be up by this deadline. We're now going to set it for this one just to make sure we give ourselves enough time to give you the product that you want. It started with Bethesda, and it's gone on to a knock-on effect all the way through ever since, and seems to become it's kind of become the template for developers that want to make sure they have that polished product, but still at the same time the fans are
But,
kind of going,
but
But it kind of sounds like
realistically, that mentality has changed, or it has shifted. Because for the last couple of years, we had this whole like, I'm not going to use one of the buzzwords to say about the generation, but the whole thing where everyone was moaning. It was always, I want it now, give it to me now, and then as soon as it came out, this isn't what I asked for. That seems to have shifted. There's a lot of people now who seem to be standing behind companies saying, look, as long as you're not saying it's coming out this year, actually, sorry, it's coming out in 3 years' time. As long as they're not delaying it by that much, it seems to be everyone on the broad scale of things. People seem to prefer that.
like it's starting to show like we have patience for these types of things these days, but like the more that things that they've promised their audience are held back.
But there's a certain stage where it just kind of looks like developers are being lazy, and they've set deadlines and they're not meeting it. If any other companies were set deadlines like that, I think people will complain a lot more. It's obviously something that obviously people do complain about this, but personally, I can just see this having a knock on effect more and more as years go on, because games are only going to get more in depth and have more things added to them, and file sizes are only going to get bigger. So, do we just kind of never take the first thing we've been told in regards to a release date for a game?
Don't
As
take it for granted, basically.
any sort of gospel anymore? Like, do we
Yeah.
just move on from that and just think, okay, so they said I don't know, late 2020, oh, we'll probably have it by February or March 21. Like it's disappointing that it's continuing to happen and it's having a snowball effect. Because obviously for the likes of ourselves and stuff like that, we look forward to games just as much as anybody else. And we kind of base plans around it. That's the only difference. Is we would base plans. People would take time off work. If Blizzard did this with a World of Warcraft expansion, there'd be war.
Yeah.
Because all the big streamers, all the big content creators actually take time off to specifically do things with this. And if it's not there day one for them to make this content, then they're down money.
Like that's affecting their income. That's affecting their lives. The people that actually do this as a profession.
Exactly. I, for one, personally had plans around FF7. Obviously, I've ones around RE4, but they're very close together now, so I have to kind of change it up a bit. But that's just me. Like that doesn't affect me too much. Anyway, we wish them all the best. John Romero's a good friend of ours. Empire Sin, guys. If you don't know about this game, I just want to talk about it really quick. If you're into XCOM or you're point and clicks and stuff like that, it's basically kind of like an XCOM game, but it's based around the Prohibition in Chicago, where you control like a mafia, that is, you're in charge of, getting it's basically it's from like 1920, so you have to kind of control your mob and stuff like that, and hire goons and stuff like that. But it strips down to like everything, like when someone is allowed to get married and stuff like that, and their partners and everything. You've got complete control over it, so it's very highly sim based, but at the same time it still has that action kind of side that an XCOM game would have. So yeah, it really looks astounding. I can't wait to play it. But our final piece, no, we've two pieces, sorry. So we have COD Modern Warfare Warzone to support 200 players. Is that too much?
No, not for the size of the maps. It's not. No, I think it's perfectly fine with the amounts of people that they're going to allow into a match. I think it's perfectly fair. And I think other battle royales should follow through on this trend as well. If the maps are going to expand the amount of players that you can have in a map to make it a more immersive and more challenging experience.
So it's going to come to the stage where the maps are on kind of the scale of Battlefield.
Do you remember the Battlefield Arctic map, the one that enormous map that was
the one that had all the tanks and jeeps and everything as well?
Yes, it was absolutely enormous for a multiplayer map. Like you couldn't run the whole thing in the set time limit unless you had a vehicle. So this is going to be something that I think it kind of needs to be like a natural progression when it comes to battle royales, and at least Modern Warfare is actually going to step it forward first for anybody else that wants to follow suit.
But is it coming out too quickly? Like, it's supposed to be coming out early next month.
They've been screaming for it for months. They've been screaming for it for months.
Yeah, but like these kind of things, I feel like could be a standalone.
In what sense?
Like they're essentially battle royales or whatever. Like, why don't they have a Call of Duty specific battle royale game where this is a thing that's implemented in it?
Because they don't want to do the same mistake that they did with the campaigns a couple of games ago. There was a whole thing where they removed the campaign. I can't remember which Call of Duty it was.
That was Black Ops 4.
Was it Black Ops 4? There was warfare over that. And like the whole thing that they removed it to put in a battle royale, but then but that's the thing. That's what
I'm saying. Why don't they keep them separate? Why don't you have your normal Call of Duty game where you have your story, your online multiplayer, your Spec Ops and stuff like that, and then have a separate thing that is Call of Duty, just call it Call of Duty Online, that has your battle royale in.
Because people will then start complaining, saying, "Why should I pay $60? It's a Call of Duty. It's never going to be cheaper than $60."
But they don't have to. They can do the whole free to play and put skins and stuff into it. They can do what Fortnite or any of those other games do. They could go down that route with something like that.
Then people will complain and say, "Blackout was a game mode. Why isn't this?" It's always going to come back to what people will say if they start splitting it up.
Yeah, I can get what you're saying. Okay, so Malafi, you can actually take this last piece of news because you're the man for the job.
So, since we did the last podcast when we were talking about Resident Evil, what?
No, I was just trying to. He's down here. I was pointing over there.
So the last time we did a podcast, we were talking about Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Resistance and everything like that as well. There's been some new information come out since then about the maps that are going to be in it and some of the masterminds you're going to be able to go as. They're after releasing that there's going to be Oswald Spencer, which was one of the fellas who originally made the progenitor virus, and there's also going to be Wesker's sister as playable masterminds. What do you guys think of that?
I can get why they're there. I don't know what they're going to control. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
They did show what Alex Wesker is going to be controlling, and it's like a big tentacle monster.
What storyline arc are they working on with these? Like, where are they coming into a story? Like, what's their purpose here?
Well, no, this is
they're masterminds for the the multiplayer thing that's kind of people are saying it's like DVD-esque. But then the maps that they're bringing out, it looks like there's going to be the casino, which looks very like the one that was on the boat in Resident Evil Revelations. But there's also a Raccoon City theme park. So
Raccoon City theme park.
yeah,
So basically, it's Zombieland, the unauthorized version.
that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And there's another one that has a kind of an Egyptian section for whatever reason. But yeah, there's some concept art out there on Resident Evil's Twitter at the moment that looks very nice.
Definitely have to keep an eye on that in the coming weeks, anyway.
Yeah, well, like what are we? 6 weeks out from the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're only going to get more and more rumors as it comes up to
Yeah,
it.
6 weeks, which means it's going to be 12 weeks, which means it's going to be 20 weeks. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out. We'll let you know.
Everything seems to get a pushback these days.
I'm
Anyway.
telling you. All right, on to the next topics.
But the only thing about that is just going back to Resident Evil is I want to see Wesker and the Tyrant. Like, they're the two I want. I don't care about anyone else.
I don't know why, but this is going to sound weird, and the only people who know the background of Resident Evil will understand where I'm coming from with this. I wouldn't be surprised if Spencer is actually controlling Wesker.
I can understand it, but I'd rather have Wesker as a mastermind.
I don't think he's going to be one though, because in the beta, when you were playing as the French mastermind, he's constantly talking about that he wants to impress Dr. Wesker. Now, he might have been talking about Alex, for all we know, but the assumption was that he was talking about Albert.
I feel there's going to be like a little side story to every part of this game that we'll see as we go along. But I want to see where it goes. I want to see what the unlockables are going to be, how they continue to keep people playing it as well. I think it's all going to be very interesting. But we're going to move on to our main topic of the day, and that is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's about 11 weeks away.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the kind of first bit of information that we were shown last year.
Oh man, I love these trailers.
Very good.
They're incredible. But they've added so many like extra things to it. And this is kind of where we're going to be coming in and talking about like the extra things that weren't included in the first game that are in this or might be in this.
There seems to be a lot more interaction with the likes of Biggs and Wedge and Jesse.
Yeah, that's the whole Midgar thing now is supposed to be a 40-hour playthrough if you do everything, instead of, you know, the 5 hours it takes if you're really like checking everything out that it will currently take to do it, which begs some questions as well that I will bring up in a few minutes. But yeah, I love just everything about this game.
Everything about this trailer personifies what the original intended to look like when it was going to be. Everyone knew it was going to be re-released well ahead of anyone else knowing about it.
I sang.
But here we go.
I always just thought the best thing ever though was the fact that they brought out a bit of footage when the PS3 was being released. Which was Cloud.
What it could look like.
Exactly, it was just a tech demo. It was never intended as, you know, oh, there's a re-release coming out.
Well, it's taken 24 years. So, I kind of feel sorry for Square Enix because it doesn't matter what they do. Like, new people are probably going to love it. But the die-hard fans might have issues with it. Basically myself, but I'm gonna love it one way or the other. It's the same with people giving about the Resident Evil 2 remake last year. I love that game, and people who give out about it, their points are their own. But like, I can't wait to get my hands on this. This is going to be like, I don't even know. I'll probably just disappear off the planet for a couple of months.
And like, one thing I only realized when I was looking into these videos, look at this. Do you remember when the plate falls? Look at that, like.
Well, that's it. They have taken everything and they have added to it and brought it to a level that is it's more explanatory and stuff like that. But like I want to get into this. So
The one thing I will say before you start though is if you saw the release date that was at the end of that video, that was a trailer from last year with the older release date. Ignore that.
yeah,
It's not coming out. It's not coming out on the 3rd of March, folks. Okay, that was just
yeah.
I know that. I had such good plans around it. 3rd of March,
But you
play
make-
the
you-
hell out of that game. Go to Gamerfest,
Gamerfest.
come back, play the hell out of that game.
all the way through to May. But there, you made a good point there about before we go on. You made a point about how new people who've seen the game for the first time will love this game, and people who've played the original have their own mindset in regards to it. Now, people who are original version purists, so people who prefer the original compared to the remakes, will probably have a lot to say in regards to the storyline arc and little bits that have been added to the game that we do know of. But the way they'll look at it is, okay, so you've done this with our original. To forget all the graphics and forget everything else like that. You've taken these aspects of our game and you've thrown them to the wind, and you're putting in these new elements that have nothing to do with the game. That's what's going to annoy them the most. But I can see a lot of these purists, for some reason, I can see them turning away from the remake. I can't see them getting as invested in the remake as they would the original for some reason. I just can't see it happen.
To them, I say, grand, do that. I'm going to play the shit out of this game. And there's like a couple of things that there's a couple of controversial topics that have come up in the last couple of weeks that people are wanted to know. Well, they want to know what's going to happen with them. So with the likes of there's a couple of controversial things. Like now they're controversial. Back then it was kind of normal. So Barrett swears all the time in the original, and so does Sid. Does that happen in the new game? We don't know how they're going to manage that kind of language barrier. What age is this game going to be rated for? That's
13
another thing.
plus, isn't it?
Then we have stuff like the controversial topics of Sid being kind of like abusive.
He was an abusive husband, yeah.
Towards Shara, yeah.
Yeah, I'm potato right now, guys.
That's just Alan always, Joey. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's actually what he looks like.
Adam Sandler was the one that took me down the film Pixels. Okay, just so you know.
Then there's obviously the whole controversy of the cross-dressing Cloud. Now, in like obviously people who are purists of this game, we all want to see these things. Like we know that the cross-dressing Cloud is actually included in the game anyway, but we don't know whether Sid's going to be the way he is or Barrett's going to be the way he is. The thing about this is there's no reason to take out what was there before, because you're only going to mess with the purists again. You're only going to like take stuff away from them. This cutscene actually brings up a point I'll get to later, but there's so much.
Just to let you know that the official rating has been released.
Oh yeah,
it's rated T for teen.
Okay.
That
makes sense.
Cloud has already been shown to scream out "you bastard" when he's running at Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Barrett swears as well in the new the intro sequence that was released last week or the week before.
So it's rated 16s in the UK, by the way, just so anybody is wondering.
And there it is there now. That's the whole honeybee in Cloud cross-dressing. So it is confirmed that they have put it in. Exactly.
But it's kind of funny. So do you actually have to go to the honeybee inn, or can you skip it like you can in the original? Like these are the things that you need to know as well.
You're saying, is it going to be an essential story arc to continue the story on where it was an option in the original?
Exactly.
From the way that you see this now, from the way that you can see it in the footage here, I'd say it's not only. It's not going to be optional. It's going to be an integral part of the story from the looks of things because of the that much production into it.
Like, even look at Nanakai, like.
The days looks class. I wonder if they're going to delve into his backstory a bit.
Not until part 2, I'd say. Until we
But,
go to Cosmo
a
Canyon.
description of how he was, like, you know, captured by Shin or stuff like that, because you don't really get that story.
Maybe. Because that's the thing, like as we can see as well, we have been shown Hojo.
Yeah, I love Hojo. He's such a badass.
But there was so many details shown in this video, like I think this is the last bit of new news we're going to see between now and the release.
There's Leviathan.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah.
We're here to rescue Aerith, remember? We don't need more attention than what we're gonna get.
So, yeah. We've got like a couple of minutes on this video. We're gonna kind of let this play through. You've got your Chocomog. You've got your... if you pre-order the game, you actually get a Carbuncle, who is never in the game. You get a Cactuar summon, and you get a small Chocobo summon as well. So they're quite nifty.
One of them is exclusive to the €300 edition, though.
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. I would buy it if I had the money. I would buy the €300 edition. I'm just putting it out there. If anyone wants to buy it for me, I will perfectly.
For Cloud on the bike.
I will write you a song.
Put that in your Amazon wish list. I mean, just look at this section for a second, okay?
The reunion.
The reunion, yeah.
Now we want to get down to the nitty and gritty of this game.
And there's the proper release date.
Yeah, there's the proper release date.
There it is, yeah.
So, what can we expect from the game, guys? Well, obviously we can expect Final Fantasy VII. They've said that there are 40 hours of gameplay just in Midgar alone. The game is
over 100 gigs of an install.
Yeah, it's becoming the standard now as well. So it's like if you only have a 500 gigabyte hard drive from the OG days of the PlayStation 4, like you're chomping at the bit here to make sure you have enough space.
100 gig download, and it comes on 2 discs.
2 discs, yeah, that's another thing. 2 discs. They couldn't contain it all in 1 disc. It has to be a dual disc game. The first dual disc games in the PlayStation.
Red Dead Redemption.
Was Red Dead 2 disc?
Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 2 disc game.
Oh. So that's the one then.
It's rare.
It is. It's very
very rare.
But then again, see, this is only the first section of the game.
And
that's 100 gigs. How big is the actual full game? We can't even estimate it right now.
Because these amounts are getting bigger and bigger, but in comparison, like you have to think, right? Imagine what the file size for the original was, right? The file size for that was less than 500 megs, right? But it was compressed onto a disk. Okay. Look at it now. It's becoming the standard. The games get bigger. The console hard drives get bigger. It's not a case of how much you can download. It's a case of has your technology that you have for this game, is it good enough to be able to hold the game? That's the standard that's been set at every single tier that goes up throughout the console.
The thing about it is, like Midgar in the original game, in terms of story and how much it actually is, it's about 15% of the entire game. And if that's over 100 gigs,
it's just less than half of the first disc in a sense. Out of the 3 discs.
Not really, because when you leave it, you have to do you got to do Junyan, you got to do Temple of the Ancients, like all that stuff is still on the first disc. You got to do Nibelheim, all that kind of stuff. Like, you'd know I've been playing the game recently, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But there's a lot on that first disc. To say that that's literally for like over 100 gigs for that segment, and it's 40 hours, like you can complete the whole game in less than that time. So but like, yeah, what do we think is going to be included in all of this, right? So I have a few theories. First of all, one thing that really annoys me about the first game that I only really discovered the other day, that if they don't include it in this, I'd actually be let down, I'd just be let down. So, at the start of the actual game, they talk about soldier a lot, which is the higher ranks of mercenaries for Shinra Inc. Squall is apparently one. Zack was one. Angeal, Genesis, Sephiroth, they're all members of Soldier. In this game, you never meet a member of Soldier.
In the
But that's only
classic
from what
version.
we've seen from the. That's only from what
No,
we've seen
this is from the original.
No,
I'm
in
talking
the
about original.
classic.
So I would like to have that division put into the game and actually give us characters that represent it, that you have to fight and stuff like that. Because you have to take on the Turks, you have to take on Shinra, you have to take on Rufus. But their elite task force is supposed to be Soldier. But they don't exist. So what happened? Like, or even explain, did Soldier disband after Sephiroth left and stuff? Like, we need an explanation as to what happened in those 5 years between Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII. You need that, like, that content. That has to be finished for me to be in any way happy. Now, we have seen extra people that don't exist in Final Fantasy VII, like that guy that drives around the red bike. Maybe he's a member of Soldier.
They do say it. Like when he's driving around and they're like, "Oh, who's that? Oh, it's a soldier." And,
and I would like to see that. That would add. That would take a box for me anyway, to see something like that. Then we have a couple of other things that I've forgotten.
Professional.
So someone else can take one. Now, if you got one.
Realistically, like I'm going to be very vague with how I say this just to avoid spoiling it for some people. But there is very memorable scenes that happen involving certain members of the cast. Certain things that happen with the likes of Genova, certain things that happens with Ares. I don't care what anyone says, her name's Ares, not Aerith. Like those pivotal scenes. I wonder, are they going to keep those in the way they were? Are they going to try to like, obviously they're going to be done in, the better graphics and, near real, like, cutscene style or whatever.
Yeah, I understand your point. I actually think they'll be done slightly differently.
Well, I just hope that they don't take from, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I was a child, like, those bits made me cry. They did, like.
But I think it'll still have that factor, that emotion. But at the same time, I think that they'll have to, take that and make it different for a new generation of people. Like, we all expect to see what we're going to see, and we will see it. The other thing actually that I forgot that I wanted to mention is the original game had a lot more bosses that they didn't put into the game. And a lot of them are actually being included now. They've gone back and they're putting them in. I'm pretty sure there's meant to be a boss in the train graveyard that they're adding into it. There's a lot of so I have a feeling there'll be more kind of side questy, but rewarding. So
I'm starting to think they're going to oversaturate the entire game with side quests.
No, I don't think, because I don't think they can. I don't even think that's possible because of how much lore and stuff there is with all of this. Like, obviously you have to have your weapons, you have to have your Shinra bosses, your hidden caves and stuff like that, like all that kind of stuff. But there was a lot of bosses they took out of the original, and there is some concept art of those bosses available online at the moment for the new game that they're putting back in. But you're also going to have like new summons and stuff like that as well. We obviously talked about the new summonings and stuff like that that are in the game. So like all that kind of stuff adds up in the long run. I'd like to see more about people's stories beforehand. Like how did Cloud end up with Avalanche?
Hmm.
We're obviously going to be delved a lot more into the likes of Avalanche because
More than
you can
just
you can
did
see
they
more
just hire
scenes.
him?
You can see more scenes with Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse in it. And that for me is actually quite nice because I like the Avalanche story. I like the whole idea that their headquarters is a bar and stuff like that. But I'd like to see more about like just the little things. Obviously, we know. I'd like to see more about Cade Sith. And if people don't understand what I mean by that, that's fine. I don't want to go into too much, but I would like to see more about the person behind Cade Sith.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because that story is never really delved into either.
There seems to be, and again, no, without trying to spoil anything, they're hard topics to talk about. Already in one of the trailers that we showed there a few minutes ago, you can see kind of the relationship that he has with Shinra, and how they undermine him, and there's stuff like that. Like you can kind of see where it's all starting from, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how much of the original storyline arc are we going to lose?
I don't think we lose any of the original. I want to see what they add to it because there's so much more stuff that is never answered. And then obviously there's the stuff that you don't find out till later on in the game and stuff like that. Like I want to know, without spoiling anything, what happened in Nibelheim with Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Without needing that fever dream sequence, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
But I'd say we'll probably get like, I hope that we get the treatment like Resident Evil 1 Remake, where they kept all of the core aspects of the story and added on top of it, but they didn't add too much to,
nothing that will intrude on the original story.
Exactly.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing about these type of games. You're always taking a risk with that because, again, somebody's going to get, like, you cannot please everybody when it comes to these. Of course. You're going to offend somebody and you're going to make somebody happy. It's always going to be a two-way street. But what worries me about this release is there's so much right with how the original was presented. Are they playing with fire at the moment with the original storyline by adding in stuff that will dilute it for not only the casual fan but for the fans of old?
See, I don't think it dilutes it either. Like, you gotta remember, like, we won't know until we see it. To be fair, but like, it has to stay true to the original. But at the same time, there's so much more that I want to know about the game that if I don't get answers for it, I'd be more disappointed. If that makes sense. Like, you don't really see like a lot of people's lives on the build up to the start of the game. You have like from years beforehand, and you have the game. You don't have that in between bit for a lot of characters, and that's something that I'd be very interested in. Like, obviously, you see Cloud in Crisis Core from when he was working with Shinra, and he was working with Zack and stuff like that. I'd like to like that in between bit where the Zack and Cloud scenario ends, and he gets on that train with Avalanche. I need more context there. Or even just how he gets to Midgar.
These are aspects of it that I think will be covered, but I don't think they're going to be as comprehensive as people would hope that they're going to be. They'll only give you the bare essentials of what you think you need to know in regards to that arc, if that's that part of the story. But It'll only be just enough just to whet your curiosity. It won't be a full-on comprehensive reveal.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of satisfied with talking about Final Fantasy VII. So much so. Does it I'd like to see the questions later on if anyone has any questions for it. But it I can't wait for it to come out. I really can't. I want to see.
Before we move on to the one or two next things, like we really just had one in regards to Final Fantasy. We only really had one question, which was from Joey, which was, "What's your favorite Final Fantasy and why?"
It's Final Fantasy VIII. I'm a huge Squall fan. Huge Squall fan. Love everything that he stands for.
I love the Gunblade.
The Gunblade is what the Gunblade and Squall were the perfect hand and glove fit for any of the Final Fantasies up to that point. Nobody did it like that. You had Cloud for 7, but when it came to the Gunblade and the look that they put on Squall for number 8, it just made the perfect progression from 7, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. But I like 8. I like all the games, but I can never turn my back on 7. It was the first one. It was one that brought me into that world. It's the first one I completed, and I put all the time and effort into, and I learned all the bits for. That's actually another thing that I wanted to say. I wonder how the mini games will translate. Like, what's Gold Saucer going to be like?
I'd say that's probably going to be amazing. Like there was the one or two little things like the little arm wrestling and redoing the driving and stuff like that. Like that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the battle arena and everything like that. It's such an interesting place. I really, really hope that doesn't disappoint. But that's it for Final Fantasy VII Remake for today. I'll probably get back to it at some stage because I cannot wait for it.
Oh, we definitely will, don't worry.
So, guys, before we do anything else, we have 2 VIP tickets for a day of that person's choice for Gamerfest Limerick.
Yes, we do. We do indeed.
And if I am any good at my job, I might be able to show you me giving them away. Hold on now.
Stand by, folks. We're not experiencing technical difficulties, but please stand by.
No, I'm just terrible at my job. How do I... Yeah, okay. All right. So...
Right, so one second. There we go.
We had 4 submissions.
Good Lord, that's potato quality, huh?
Yeah, that's very pixelated.
That's very pixelated. And the winner is...
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll announce it anyway. So, best of luck to our entrance. Oh, and the winner is Booley.
Hey.
Booley, I will get in contact with you in the coming days.
Congratulations, Booley.
Someone has
you are going to Gamerfest.
Yeah. But
you didn't even know about this, Joey. Should have kept an eye on the Twitter.
On the topic of Final Fantasy VII, I have been running a giveaway on my own channel that correlates with this podcast that I need to find first of all.
Tell me,
I'll announce the two winners today. See, I have to launch Streamlabs so I can launch the dashboard so I can get into it. Okay, so you just have to give me a second. There it is. Yeah, so we're giving away 2 copies of Final Fantasy VII and 8. It's a duo pack with both games on it, with both codes on it. And I will announce the winners in just a second because I have to find the bot for it. There it is. So with this giveaway, because I just kept going with it all week, we have 22 entrants.
Christ.
Let's see. So our first winner is Kingdom Hearts Foreteller _2. I need to put that somewhere. Congrats to them.
It down. Write it down. Use a pen.
And the second winner is Saryukin.
Saryukin. Hey. Congratulations.
He's also getting a copy of the games. So
No, I'm sorry. You have to say his name like it was Hadouken. You have to say
Hadouken!
Hadouken! That's the way you do it,
So there are our winners for the Final Fantasy giveaway. Where are we? Oh, I've lost my notes. Have it.
Does anybody out there have any questions that they'd like to ask the team?
Well, the only other questions that were asked really, and we addressed it was like tips that you'd give someone about when they want to start streaming and what games you'd recommend to them. And the team has replied in the chat saying that we might do something in a future podcast about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, if you're going to be attending Gamer Fest, we can also show you there what to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
But like my only thing that I want to say on top of that is if it's something you want to get into, if it's streaming or whatever else, play like you can stream off of anything. You can stream off your phone. Just do it first of all. Second of all, do it with stuff you like.
Yeah. 100%.
Because you're able to talk about stuff that you like.
Don't do something to fit the mold with everybody else. Do something that will be unique to you, because you will understand, appreciate, and enjoy the content you're putting out more. And the person who's watching you will also appreciate it as well, because they'll know that you vested your time, your interests, and your hobby into doing this. And you'll have that first-hand knowledge of exactly what it is you're presenting. It'd be like if you were to be a Fortnite streamer and you started streaming League of Legends and not knowing what the hell is going on, just to make sure people came to your channel.
And because just because it's not something that's streamed doesn't mean that other people don't want to see it as well.
Exactly. There's always a niche there that people are looking for, and if you find that niche, you can exploit it to your own. You can mold it to what way you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm being attacked by Joey here. So she did ask more than one question. The first question was, what's the favorite Final Fantasy game and why, which we covered.
Yeah.
What's your favorite story wise? Which one do you think looks the best?
8. Go on, next.
That's it.
Which one looks the best?
I think that comes down to personal opinions, really.
Like
10-2 was good.
I think which one holds up with how it looks and translates still to now would be 10 and 10-2, because that graphics engine is quite nice.
I think 10-2 would actually be my favorite to look at.
Best soundtrack, it's actually not a game, but there's a remix of the Final Fantasy 7 track done by a group called the Black Mages.
Oh my god, yes.
And that would be the best way to put the game.
I have a question I want answered, actually. I have a question.
Go on.
In your guys' opinions, the best musical production score for any game ever made?
Wait, say that again?
The best musical production score for a game ever made.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Metal Gear Solid 1 is better than 2 for me.
2 very, very good answers, actually. I'm going to say Doom. The Mick Gordon.
Especially go with Duke.
No, Duke's nowhere. Don't get me wrong, Johnson's fantastic. TDK Johnson's fantastic. But Mick Gordon, who did the musical score for the previous Doom, the one that sets the standard for BFG Division, was absolutely incredible. Final Fantasy X.
That has a fantastic soundtrack.
Final Fantasy X's one's good.
It has the best opening song for a game ever.
But do you know what I placed hard in Final Fantasy X? I placed Devil May Cry 5 hard in that. That was an incredible music score.
Very good soundtrack, but Final Fantasy X, it has a place in my heart.
Fallout 4, Persona 5.
You're getting some good.
I'm just waiting for somebody to put Angry Birds in the chat now.
The one other question I was in the chat, and I was saying we might talk about it in a different podcast as well, just because, like, as far as I'm aware, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm the only person who's played a small bit of this game in the team, is The Forest. Have you guys
I
played
know
that?
what it is, but I
Played
haven't played it.
once. I've played it once, but not enough to be comprehensive about it.
So one question that Joey asked was, is anyone looking forward to The Forest 2?
I haven't even seen it for it, to be honest.
That's me 100% honest. I haven't seen a single thing for it.
Yep.
Those kind of, survival-y first-person games. I'm not... like, Minecraft was the first one. And then we got the likes of, Rust and The Forest and everything else. But I just think they get very stale very quickly for me. I think you can do everything in them very quickly. That's not against the people that play them and stuff like that. It's just I can't farm stuff for that long and not get results. I actually played a game like that years ago called Savage Lands, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't think I could go back to farming something for that long again.
Back to Farming Simulator we go, lads, huh?
So, is there any other questions?
Not at this time. Guys, if there is anything else that you want to ask us, please do let us know down in the comments below.
And also, in the meantime, anyway, if you haven't already, there is also the community Discord. If you're not a part of it, make sure you get in there. And it's where all of our communities, interact with each other, and we do everything together. And
I look like a wonky teapot.
I think I might hand it over to Maroxide for a second to talk about.
All,
just to talk about this.
Yes, this is exactly what I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
Okay, guys, so Team Redirect are in a partnership with Gamivo.com to try and give you guys great games at the best prices. This includes everything from, PSN credit, Xbox Live, V-Bucks for Fortnite, points for FIFA, any games that are coming out that you want to pre-order or anything like that. So also, guys, if you click the link and you do follow and you do decide to buy something, use the code Team Redirect for an extra discount on the website. We have lots of things coming up with this group, and the more you guys click and get involved, the more we can give you in return. Currently today we actually have an event going on Absolute Filth's channel that they have kind of donated some V-Bucks to, and as we go along with this journey with them, we want to get more things for you guys, the likes of hopefully in the long run some Resident Evil keys and stuff like that. So guys, do head on over there. Even just clicking the link helps us out. Anything, any sort of interaction. I just seen that comment. Any sort of interaction helps us out a lot, guys. So thank you for everyone who has been involved with them so far. And if you haven't been, just go over and check it out. There might be something there you want, there might not be, but even clicking that link helps us. Back over to the guys.
So I'm just going to address that comment by Missy there in the chat. Missy, Ocarina of Time, the soundtrack score for that game is one of the absolute masterclasses as to how a musical production score should be made. It's in a class of its own. It's non-comparable. Nothing even comes close to the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. So much so, I have a vinyl copy of that. I have a vinyl copy of the Ocarina of Time. Never going to open it. It's sitting there. That's how much I loved that soundtrack. That's how good that soundtrack is. To this day, nothing's come close.
I don't know. And thanks for coming across, guys, from Phil's channel as well, to come in and say hello to us. We are nearly at the end for today. Yeah, so we've gone through everything, guys. I'll let you do your plugs, guys, and we'll get the hell out of here. We'll start with Alan.
So, guys, you can catch me here.
One second.
Oh, well, he's doing the 1 second thing. Hang on. One. Congratulations. Done. I'm Rockside, apparently. Guys, you can catch me over at StreamerElite88 on Twitch. You can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at StreamerElite. And you can also find me at TeamRedirect.com.
Malafi.
You're really going to do this to me, aren't you?
Malafi!
Come on down!
Right, so yeah, some of you know who I am. I stream random stuff all like whenever. I like doing co-op stuff. I'm at twitch.tv/Malamphy, and what?
Sorry. Last comment.
So Alan is now going to be a teapot.
Oh my
So.
god. Sorry, Malafi. That was very rude. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, I'm just, you know where I am if you need me, and just, I don't know how to do these things. Let's go to the person who knows what he's doing.
And back to me. So, ladies and gentlemen.
So guys, it's over to me. I'm probably going to be playing some more Dreams and stuff this week. If you want to check that stuff out and see what other people are making, it's absolutely incredible. You can find me on Twitch at Maroxide. You can find me on Twitter at Maroxide. Everywhere, it's just Maroxide everywhere. But guys, do check out Team Redirect at their website. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Head on over to the community server. We announce everything there. If you guys want to get involved, just get involved. We're more than happy to help you guys. We're more than happy to help promote the community. I want to say thank you to everyone who stopped by today. Thank you for the new follows, guys. This was Team Redirect's second podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Oh yeah, we're going to raid somebody. Who are we ready?
Oh, sure.